Today we're going to talk about simplifying or reducing fractions to their simplest form. Let's start with the example of 2/4. Now when you're reducing, you're just trying to find an equivalent fraction that uses smaller numbers. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to think about the numbers. And we need to think, here's the 2 and here is a 4. So 2/4. What is a factor that we can divide both our numerator and our denominator by so that it goes in evenly with no remainders? Well, with 2/4, we know that 2 goes into both of these because it's an even number. And working with even numbers, you can always use a 2. So we're going to divide 2 by 2 and divide 4 by 2. And that is going to give us a reduced fraction of 1/2, 1/2. Now, we have to do the same thing to both the numerator and the denominator. That's why we have to use the same divisor for both the numerator and the denominator. So let's look at another example. Let's look at 10/25. Now, right off, I know that 10 does not go into 25. Just like, 2 went into 4, so that was a good place to start. I know that 10 does not go into 25 evenly. 25 is not even, so I can't use a 2. But they both end in a 0 and a 5, so that means that they should both be divisible by 5. So if I divide 10 by 5 and 25 divided by 5, 10 divided by 5 equals 2, and 25 divided by 5 equals 5. So my reduced or simplified fraction is 2/5. And the way that I know that it's the most simplified is because 2 and 5 do not have any common factors or numbers that go into each of them evenly. So let's try a couple more examples. Let's look at the example of 20/28. Now, they're both even numbers, so I can start off with a 2. If I divide 20 divided by 2 and 28 divided by 2, let's see, 20 divided by 2 is 10. 28 divided by 2, well, 8 and 2 is 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now I'm left with 10/14. But I'm looking at those, and 2 can still go into both of those. So I'm just going to divide by 2 one more time. And I would do this as many times as it takes to get down to where I get to digits where I cannot divide any more evenly. So let's look at those. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. So the simplest form, and I guess I should have equal signs in here, but the simplest form of 20/28 is 5/7. And 5 and 7 have no common factors. And so that's the simplest form. Let's also look at this one of 20/32. Well, I know that I can start with a 2, but that's going to give me a 10, so can 3 go into both of those? No, 3 is not a factor of 20, or 32 as far as I can remember. What about 4? Well, I know that 4 goes in there to 20, and 4 goes into 32, I think I'm going to try 4. So I'm going to divide both by 4, and that is going to leave me with 5/8. Does 5/8 have any common factors? 5 and 8? And 5 is a prime number, meaning that there's no factors besides 1 and itself, and it has nothing in common with 8. So 5/8 is the simplest form of 20 32s. Remember, when reducing or simplifying fractions, you need to look for common factors, then divide until you cannot divide anymore.